Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. What President Obama should do about Syria. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. This man, Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad, is a war criminal, a mass murderer, and a baby killer. By using poison gas on Syrian civilians, which is against the Geneva Convention, Assad is now responsible for thousands of injuries and hundreds of deaths, according to the humanitarian group Doctors Without Borders. So there is no question that Assad must be held accountable. If you believe in American exceptionalism, that this country has a moral obligation to save lives when it can all over the world, then you know the USA must act against Assad as it did against Saddam Hussein. However, we cannot make the same mistakes we made in Iraq. President Obama is now perceived throughout the world as indecisive when it comes to righting international wrongs. Putin and Russia, the Chinese and Iran do not fear him. Those countries do pretty much what they want to do. And in this case, that means supporting the mass killer Assad. So Mr. Obama has a unique opportunity not only to damage Assad, but to show the world that we are the good guys and that those helping Assad are the bad guys. In order to do that, the president must be methodical. First, he must convince other countries to support military strikes against Syria. Seems British, French, and the Turks are already on board. So that's a huge plus, but the president should secure the support of as many Arab countries as possible, beginning with Saudi Arabia. Then Mr. Obama should go to Congress and ask for a vote of affirmation on using military power. Talking Points believes Congress will support the action. Finally, in conjunction with NATO, the USA should devise a bombing campaign that will degrade Assad's forces without the mass killing of civilians, and that will not be easy. At the same time, Mr. Obama must ask the Russians and the Chinese to support NATO action and get them on the record. Also, the USA should lay out explicitly how the barbaric Iranian government is helping the war criminal Assad. If the president does all those things, he will gain a measure of respect throughout the world and perhaps bring down Assad. Now, we all understand the situation inside Syria is chaotic, with jihadists involved. But if America wants to be a world leader, we can't allow a tyrant to violate international law by using chemical weapons. If Assad gets away with that, the world will devolve into a destructive free-fire zone where anything goes. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction. Joining us from Boston, Fox News military analyst Colonel David Hunt, and from Washington, Fox News strategic analyst Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters. So, Colonel Peters, I understand you disagree with me, correct?
Well, Bill, I just don't think American exceptionalism should extend to helping al-Qaeda with our military. And look, you're absolutely right that Assad is despicable. He's a monster. He's a murderer. But you must put things in context. In Syria, now, as we speak, the two sides, on one side you have Assad, Hezbollah, Iran, horrible people. On the other side, it's increasingly dominated by al-Qaeda, Jabhat al-Nusra, and other Islamist extremists. You know, the team that brought you 9/11. Now, right now, in Syria, our enemies are killing each other. Why on earth, where in our Constitution does it say we should stop our enemies from killing each other? And by the way, I don't like either side in this, but I want somebody to tell me what tangible, strategic, or security benefit the United States gets from intervening in Syria. Obama wants to launch cruise missiles to redeem his personal, image.
Be that as it may, you're overlooking the humanitarian issue of a violation of the Geneva Convention and the use of chemical weapons. If that is allowed to stand, forget about it. It's going to be used all over the world. What say you, Colonel Hunt?
Yeah, the U.S. government, the British and the French have not confirmed the use of chemical weapons. Doctors Without Borders has. If it's confirmed, we're not still going to be sure who used the chemical weapons.
Well, I mean, the delivery system, you know, the delivery system of the weapons is almost impossible that you could put it into the rebels or whatever you want to call them. And
no,
also,
it's not, Bill.
From what I understand, Colonel, from what I understand, Israeli intelligence, Doctors Without Borders, and U.S. intelligence now all say that Assad has a cache of these weapons and used them. Now, if that's not true, if Assad didn't do it, then all bets are off. But we have to assume that he did do it at this juncture. Go ahead, Colonel.
No, we have to. You can assume that if you want to assume chemical weapons are used, which I don't, then there's no way you can assume therefore
you don't
Assad
even think
did
the poison gas was used.
I think the terrible thing happened. Well, who did it is seriously in question. Who benefits from this act?
Well, your own government and other governments are saying that the Assad regime did it, and the doctors on the ground are saying that the gas was used. It's enough for me.
The doctors on the ground have said it was used. We have not got confirmation from U.S. government, French, or period.
Now,
and
what about
who benefits from this act?
What about you guys? Now, let's go back to 1940 when the same arguments were being made against intervention in Europe. All right, that you had a horrible person there, Hitler, who was doing all kinds of war crimes, committing all kinds of atrocities, and there were maybe 55% of the American public said just what you guys say. Hey, let's stay out of this. Not our fight. We shouldn't be doing this. All right. Now, I see parallels there, Colonel Peters. Am I wrong?
Yes, you're absolutely wrong. What you're setting up is a situation that if Hitler had been fighting the Japanese, you want us to pick, gee, do we fight on the Japanese side or Hitler's side? The people in Syria are all bad. Now, Colonel Hunt is right about the delivery systems. Primitive delivery systems could have delivered chemical weapons if the opposition had captured some, and they probably have by now. I don't know who did it. But here's the thing, to a great extent, the use of chemical weapons, which I abhor, is nonetheless something of a red herring. Because you talk about the Geneva and Hague Conventions, international conventions, all killing of civilians, all targeting of civilians is a war crime.
But now we're talking about weapons
Bill,
of
would you
mass
rather be
destruction.
killed with,
It's up to that level, and that's the reason we invaded Iraq.
Would you?
Right?
Yeah. Would you want to do that again?
Yeah, but
No, and I said we cannot make the mistake.
Bill,
Can't
no,
make the
Bill.
same mistake.
Would you rather be killed by poison gas or
Look, it's
tortured
not
to
a
death by
matter of me
Al-Qaeda?
rather being anything. There's got to be some moral authority in this world. And if you allow this kind of an attack, and you guys are both saying you don't trust your own government, fine. And a lot of people watching will say, no, I'm just saying, look, Kerry was quite clear yesterday that the Assad government did it. And you're saying you don't believe Kerry, the Secretary of State. You're both saying that, okay? You don't trust your own government, you don't trust your own government. Go ahead, Hunt.
Bill?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
There's no way that, look, we've been so wrong in the past. The National Security Team that's organizing this.
It comes back down to you just don't trust your own government. You don't. All right? And if you're proven right.
And we should not.
All right. If you're proven right and there's some kind of fixes in to get Assad, which I doubt because President Obama doesn't want to get anybody. He doesn't want to get anybody. I mean, Assad is forcing the issue. Obama's not a warrior. He doesn't want to go in and get him. He doesn't.
Bill, I trust.
A
All right,
third
Hunt
war
first,
in 12
then
years,
Peters, and then I'll wrap it. Go.
Yeah. A third war in 12 years, and do it over Syria that has Al-Qaeda on one side and Hezbollah on the other and the Russians is not for us to do right now. We cannot do a third war in 12 years in the Middle East, period.
All right, Colonel Peters?
I trust my government. I do not trust President Obama's military judgment. I do not want Samantha Power, our UN ambassador, making the military policy of the United States.
That's the government infrastructure right now, and you know it. All right, very stimulating, and Charles Krauthammer will weigh in on this a little later.